everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to the Dice Tower's continual coverage of 2019. Today I'm talking about the top 10 innovative games that came out over the course of the year. But before I do that, let me do a couple quick shout-outs to people who backed our Kickstarter in 2019. I want to say thank you to Doug Miller. We want to say Mr. Shirtman. We want to say thank you to Skullwink, Larry Ted McBride. We want to say thank you to Tom DeVere Smith, currently serving in Northern Ireland, and Mark Phaedrus. Thank you to all of you. We appreciate you sponsoring our show. All right, innovative games. Now, this is the list I'm always the most scared of doing. Well, maybe this in art. Because there's a lot of things that I find extremely innovative, and you might not think they're innovative, and there's things that I might miss because this is something I should, I feel like I should write down over the course of the year when I play a game. But at the end of this video, you'll have a chance to mention things that I may or may not have missed, and I'll quickly discuss them. So let's get jumping right into this with number 10.
Number 10.
Number 10 is not particularly innovative in that it basically borrows a mechanism from a very popular game, but it uses it in a different way that I hadn't seen before, and that is Sarah's Vision. Sarah's Vision, which has a really beautiful cover here, it's in the future, it's like a utopian type thing, and then people are messing it up, and it's your job to get the city back on track, and you're doing that with Jenga. Now, Jenga is a game, very popular game, but it's just a dexterity. In this game, you're using the Jenga blocks as a resource. And I know an RPG game had done this earlier, several years earlier, but Sarah's Vision did it, I thought, in a different and unique way. And while the game is very much a one-note style game, hey, we're playing Jenga with a bigger board game around it, I found it a refreshing look at this and a way to take this mechanism, which is pulling blocks out of a tower and stacking them back on top, to work in this game. So my number 10 of innovative games, Sarah's Vision.
Number 9.
Number 9 is Tiny Towns. This is from AEG Games. Now, when you play Tiny Towns, it doesn't necessarily feel very innovative, I guess. You play it, you're like, wow, this is something cool. But when I took a look at it, it doesn't really, there's no other game that really does what it does. You have this grid here that you're trying to build buildings in, which a lot of games do, and you need to get different resources in those, which a lot of people do, like a lot of games do. But this one, people are calling them out almost bingo style. And so as players are doing this and you have to work around everybody else and you're trying to force your things, and each person has their own grid. Most of these games, there's one central grid. People are putting resources in that grid and you try to find stuff that matches it. Here you have your own. And this is a weird game in that it's really light and easy to teach, and yet really difficult and mind-bending to play, which is like anyone could play it. But it's really difficult to do well at the game. In fact, you can end the game with negative points sometimes, depending on how the game plays out. And it just feels different than many of the games that are out there. So my number 9, Tiny Towns.
Number 8.
When I was a kid, I had a love-hate relationship with this labyrinth thing. Everyone's seen those, the wooden ones where you twist the knobs and you try to roll the ball past different number of holes where it will eventually fall into a hole and you will lose. Don't pretend that you beat it, because I'm just assuming no one else in the world could beat it. I only ever got like the hole 20. Now they've remade this. Perplexes does it in a 3D setting, but someone took that idea and put it into a board game, and that is Slide Quest. So in Slide Quest, you are working together to try to get a knight or to do something, like maybe he has to go through that arch and he has to defeat these guys without falling in these holes. But each player controls a different side of the board, and you're all working together, tilting it together cooperatively to get the knight to his mission. It's a really cool idea. I find it super fascinating. I like the idea of sliding around this board, and it would be pretty easy, I think, to do if you were by yourself. But being forced to work with other people makes the game silly, but also very entertaining and something really unlike anything else that's out there. So my number 8, Slide Quest.
Number 7.
Number 7 is a very original game, and I don't think you'll see a whole lot of games that are just like this one because of how different it is. We've seen cooperative games, we've seen games with hidden traitors, and we've seen puzzle-style games. Very rarely do they fit together well because one person will dominate the conversation. Here's a puzzle game, let's figure it out. In this one, though, you only know some of the information, and this game here is mental blocks, something a lot of people accuse me of having. In mental blocks, you are building a 3D foam block display in the middle of the table, and you know part of it. You might be able to see the top of it. You might be able to see one of the sides of it. You might know what blocks go in it, depending on how many players there are. So you all are talking to each other, working together exactly how to place the blocks in such a way. And then the game might even have a weird, like you can only touch blue blocks. And so someone else has to move the other color blocks. It has these weird restrictions on it that make this a very entertaining game. I feel like this is a game that's made mostly for conventions or big group get-togethers because of just everything going on inside it. But there's nothing else out there like it. This is completely original, I feel. I mean, again, it takes stuff we already know, build these puzzles, cooperative with other people, but you only have that one piece of information and you have to use those. So this game does not allow that alpha player to tell everyone what to do because that alpha player only knows one side or one color or one something of the whole thing, and you need to work together. Of course, you could also be playing with a traitor, in which case one person's trying to mess everybody up. But that is my number 7 mental blocks.
Number 6.
Number 6 is a game you probably haven't heard of. Oh, wait, I didn't say that snootily enough. Number 6 is a game that you probably haven't heard of. Actually, I don't know if this one will get a wider release. It's from Korea, and that is Mirror Gardens. So Mirror Garden, this is a game. So if you look here at the back of the box, you're going to get these different halves of a garden, and they have different sides. And then you get a mirror piece, which you bend somehow to put on either one or both of these gardens to form the picture that it shows you. It's incredibly difficult. I'm sitting there bending the mirror and you're saying, okay, I want to look like this. If I pull the mirror out, it looks a little different. If I push it in, do I even have it in the right spot? I've never seen something like it. It's, a typical game where you have a puzzle to solve, but this is a puzzle where you're using mirrors to create a reflection of a park. It's completely fascinating and interesting. So my number 6 is Mirror Garden.
Number 5.
My number 5 had something in it. I mean, the theme of this game is not innovative at all. And, overall, I don't know that the whole game's innovative, but it had something I never saw before in it, which was really awesome. This game is Sanctum. Now, Sanctum is, if you look at the cover there, it looks like Diablo, right? And you have all these guys, typical warriors from fantasy fighting demons. But it has a board in the game where you have cards and tiles on it, which will let you upgrade and fight monsters. And at different points, you'll kill monsters, and you'll be able to move these little tokens off these cards and off these tiles to get them. You can move them off the bottom ones, but then you move them onto the middle cards, which it takes longer to move the tokens off those middle cards than so you can get them. Also, if you move tokens all the way to the top, you can use those to activate weapons. I've never seen a system like this. It is one of the most fulfilling and intriguing upgrade style advancement level up type things in a dungeon crawl game. And Sanctum, which I might have normally just looked at and said, I've seen this, been there, done that. It took it and made it a fascinating game because you have this completely unique, interesting character, and the way you upgrade them, you have so much freedom in how you upgrade them, and you have to decide if you want a lot of stuff now, push to get stuff later. You'll never get everything, so which one of these you take and how you upgrade and what weapons you put on, that was easily the best part of the game. I liked it a lot. My number 5, Sanctum.
Number 4.
Speaking of evil-looking covers, number 4 is The Faceless. I would never have bought this game based on this cover. That's just some goat head-looking guy. And the thing is, the theme of the game is not even quite so grim as that. It's about a kid who got lost in the forest and this guy's hunting him down. Okay, it's pretty grim. But it's about kids, right? And the way this game works is your piece is this one right here. It's this compass here. And on the outside of the board, you have these kids who are either helping you or fighting you. And then there's that evil creature there. And all of them have magnets in their bases. And as you move them around the board, the compass needle is going to be pulled by the gravitational fields. And that's the direction your party must go in. So you're going to try to play cards to manipulate these outside pieces to get the arrow to point in the way you want it, which, just as a heads up, is not towards that evil dude. You will want to go around and rescue other kids and items and things. It's a really fascinating game. It's a cooperative game. You're working together. I've never seen anything like it. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are going to walk by it in the store because this doesn't look like that kind of game. But it is extremely entertaining and fun. And like I said, magnets. If you find a new way to use magnets, I'm always on board anyway. This one does it in a cool way. That is the Faceless.
Number 3.
My next game is one that Z talks about quite a bit, and I like it. Not as much as he does, but I like it a lot. And that's Detective City of Angels. Now, in Detective City of Angels, it's a whodunit type game. And you're going to go through, and you're going to go find stuff that's happening and solve a mystery. We've seen that before. But what makes this game unique is one player is the chisel. That person is the antagonist of the story, and they're running. They don't want you to solve it, but they are still running it. It's like a dungeon master who's a little annoyed at everybody. And so when you go to places and you talk to people, the dungeon master has a choice of what to read you, or the chisel, I'm sorry. And the chisel will read you an answer, and you'll say, well, I just asked the suspect to answer this question. Is that the best answer they could have given me? And you can interrogate them farther if you want. And then if so, they have to give you a better answer. But if you interrogate them farther and they already gave you the best answer they have, they'll get really annoyed and you'll lose favor, which can be used at points to mess you up. Meanwhile, it's not a cooperative game at all. I mean, I guess you can play that way, but your other detectives are running around. You might even steal evidence. You might find evidence and keep it from other players. I know, a good detective would never do such a thing. But the fact that this has this four-way, let's say you're playing a four-player game, 3 detectives and 1 chisel, and they're all can play essentially as hard as they want to. The chisel's still providing a good experience for everybody, but they have the opportunity to hide that information or fog things. It's such a neat concept for a game. I like it a lot. Detective City of Angels, my number 3.
Number 2.
It seems like dexterity is always a way that you could do something innovative, but dexterity is usually a silly dexterity game. Stack something, don't have it fall over. But what if a dexterity game is also strategic, and that is the case with Megacity Oceania. Now this game looks really cool. It comes in a pretty big size box, and it comes with a gazillion little plastic pieces inside. And you are taking turns building these plastic pieces in towers that you will then push with your finger to the middle of the table without them falling over. Falling over is a bad thing. The fact is, though, you can easily build stuff that won't fall over. You just might not score as many points. And you have to build these following certain parameters that the game gives you to score points. So you're drawing pieces from a bag. You're utilizing those pieces to build buildings in the way that you think they should be built. And then there's the dexterity element of pushing it. And that sounds like it doesn't work together, and yet it does. It's also kind of a cool theme. It is the future. How do you house all the overpopulation of the world, all those vassals? Is you build this megacity. And so this game, it doesn't take very long, but it has this moment where everyone watches someone pushing it to the middle, and you're kind of hoping they fall because you are not wanting them to win. At the same time, if they do it, you're kind of like, hey, got to give it up for you. And that dexterity element of the game mixed with the strategic on how exactly you build these buildings, I think comes out really well. So my number 2 is Megacity Oceania.
And finally, number 1.
It wasn't long ago when the escape room in a box type thing just really exploded all over the scene. There's all kinds of games in there, each innovative in their own way. And this year we saw one do something that we haven't seen before, and that would be Mystery House Adventures in a Box. In this game, the box is the game. You open up the box, you will slide in all these dividers, and then you raise the box up. I usually put it on top of like 3 other games, and everyone is looking. You're spinning it around a circle, and you're looking into the box, into these windows and doors, and you will see things. And then it becomes like a point-and-click adventure. I'll see an axe. I'll be like, is there an axe there? And then you go to you use an app with it, and the app's like, yes, there's an axe there. So you're like, all right, I got an axe now. There's a window. Can I use this axe on the window? It's like, yes. And then you smash the window, and you might pull out that divider, and then you can see farther in. And I'm really curious. I mean, the two cases come with this game. Each one's very different. One is like a fantasy setting, and there's a minotaur involved, and the other one's more of a horror setting. Not very scary, but it's so unique and interesting, and it really, every time I see people play it, they're like peering in the box and trying to look around corners and figure out this really interesting story. And yes, at the end of the day, it's another escape room style game or point-and-click style game, but it does so in a way that I haven't seen before, utilizing the actual box as the game itself. So my number one for innovative games is Mystery House Adventures in a Box. What do you think is the most innovative game of the year, or ones that I missed? Why don't you mention them here, and I'll tell you why they didn't make the list. Or I'll go, oh yeah, that was a good one. It should have been on the list. Innovation's always a hard thing to see. Sometimes, very rarely does a game you play it like Dominion for the first time, you're like, this is crazy, I've never seen this before, for sure. But sometimes it's a little trickier and harder to find. Let's see here. People are talking about the different games that we played. When will this be widely available? I know it was online, and it's from Credo Creation, so they'll probably be making more, and they'll bring it over, depending on the demand for the game, of course. There's a lot of different games that I played that were super fun over the course of this year. I just don't know how many of them would be innovative. Mystic Vale did not come out this year. That's why I did not pick that one. Mystic Vale certainly is innovative with its card crafting. Silver and Gold is a good roll and write or flip and write game. I just necessarily wouldn't call it innovative. I think it does a really cool job. It's one of my favorite of that genre, if not my favorite. But I don't know that I would call it innovative. Crusoe Crew. Yeah. Sure, the adventure booklets, but my booklet lets me see things that you don't. Yes, that would have made a smart person's innovative list. QE. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Maybe QE. I really do love QE, where you can basically bid anything you want. But the idea of the highest person, then whoever spends the most money losing, is not unique. That's been done in games before. So I'll pretend that's why I didn't put it on my list. Eco's First Continent. No, we've seen that before. Rise of Augustus was very similar. I think Ecos did it in a very different way, but I wouldn't have necessarily called it innovative. Chronicles of Crime did not come out this year. The write and wipe cards in Silver and Gold was innovative. I guess. I think it's cool that you can do that. I just don't think that's innovative. That's just, I don't know. I mean, there's been games before where I could write on the cards and erase them, so I don't know that I hadn't seen it before. Maybe it was done better in this one. Wavelength, yeah, I guess the party game Wavelength is innovative. I haven't seen something like that before. Edge of Darkness, just a reworking of Mystic Vale. U-Boot has so much going on in it, and I have not played a complete game of it yet, although I have one scheduled to play this month. I don't know that I could call any part of it innovative. It was just overwhelming at the time. So if overwhelming counts as innovative, then yes. Wingsburg was not innovative. Keyforge was also last year. So the whole idea of the unique system, definitely a 2018 idea. In fact, no new unique things came out this year. I thought some more would. Not even Fantasy Flight released anything in the unique system. Escape Plan I wouldn't call innovative. It's interesting, it's fun, has a cool theme, but not innovative. Llama, a game worse than Uno. I think that's new. No. Funny, but no. Funkoverse. Funkoverse is really cool, and I thought about putting Funkoverse, but I couldn't think of anything that was super innovative. It has a cooldown system, but I've seen cooldown systems in games before. It uses little Funko Pops. I guess that's innovative, but it's a really great game. Don't get me wrong, I like it a lot. I just wouldn't put it on this list. Alrighty, well, that's that for now. I'll be back tomorrow with another top 10 list, and me and Z will be back here at 2 o'clock, so 40 minutes from now, and we'll be talking about our the best of the decade, and this time we're taking a look at 2013. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching the Best of 2019 Top 10 Innovative Games. See you next time.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.